Ann Coulter is joining us now on the line. Ann, good to have you with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
I was actually really enjoying that story. I'm going to look up your article in the Herald.
Well, let me finish the story, Ann, and you see if you appreciate the story as much as I do. So they realize eventually, hey, you know, this guy McCabe, he's lying to us. He's not telling us the truth. He's the one who leaked all this stuff, and he's blaming everybody else. So on the morning of May 9th, 2017, the people from the IG's office come back to his office, and do you know what they do this time, Ann?
What?
They put him under oath. They put him under oath, and he keeps...
At least they had a reason to do it, unlike with Michael Flynn.
And they keep lying. He keeps lying. And he keeps lying and lying. And so what do you call that when you lie under oath, Ann? You're a lawyer.
Well, what's interesting about this is, I mean, I wasn't just being flip saying, and they had a reason to ask him. Look, there was reasonable suspicion. They thought he was lying to them.
Right.
Turns out they were right, and that's when they put him under oath. Whereas, I mean, you actually have something you don't see very much in the law because prosecutors aren't usually like this. You know, the famous perjury trap, I suppose, that was a big phrase in the Clinton era. But why was Michael Flynn ever put under oath and asked if he discussed sanctions with Russia? There was nothing illegal about him discussing sanctions with Russia. But my suspicion is, and I'd like to see exactly what was said in the transcripts, we don't know, but this was right when during the transition, when Obama threw those Russians out of their Long Island home as if they were collecting anything interesting out there. But that was supposed to be, you know, this
But
punishment.
don't you think they're going to throw...
And most people, I don't think of throwing a few Russians out as a sanction. You think of sanctions as we won't do business with you, or Russia sanctioning us by not allowing Americans to adopt Russian kids. You think of it as more transactional and big and not just, oh, we're throwing these Russians out. So I suspect Flynn misspoke. There is some reporting about how, oh, I see, you're asking me seriously. Well, what am I supposed to say here? But when they bring him in, there's no underlying crime. With McCabe, you have an underlying crime.
Right. It's
exactly. It's just so weird in the Trump era, where the president doing his job is constantly treated as if it's obstruction of justice.
Right.
Meanwhile,
well, there's so many ways to go with this.
All the people he's trying to fire are committing the crimes Trump is accused of.
Well, it's like the Ukrainian. They're investigating the Ukrainian, giving him $150,000 or his foundation $150,000 for making a video for him. Yet they're not investigating the same Ukrainian giving $13 million to the Clinton Foundation. I mean, even Mark Penn is writing about that. Clinton's old pollster saying, "What the hell's going on here?" You know,
yes.
But let me finish the story, Ann, so I can tell you the story.
Go ahead.
We're back to May 9th, right? So they bring him in, they put him under oath, and he commits multiple counts of perjury, right? On the afternoon of May 9th, what happens, Ann? Does that date ring a bell? Comey is fired. So Andrew McCabe, after committing multiple felonies on the morning of May 9th, then becomes acting director of the FBI on the afternoon of May 9th. Not even J. Edgar Hoover ever did that. And they buried it in a footnote. I guess they just figured, we can't make a big deal of this. We're supposed to be on the straight and narrow. But if you're reading carefully, Ann, you it leaps out at you. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, I mean, I've said it before. My father, as soon as he got out of law school, was an FBI agent, a red hunter, and he is rolling in his grave. The FBI used to be so honorable, which is why it was under attack constantly by communists.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing though? I mean, that whole report. I mean, all McCabe does is lie and lie and lie. And it never stops. And then this whole thing about now it's coming out. Comey mentioned it obliquely in his book that they have something on Loretta Lynch, and it appears that what they have on Loretta Lynch is that she was telling the New York cops that if they dared to leak anything about the Anthony Weiner laptop, then she would go after and indict the cops that were involved on Staten Island in the death of that guy Eric Garner, who who resisted arrest and weighed 400 pounds and died of a heart attack while he was in a chokehold. I mean, you weigh 400 pounds and you're on the street fighting with a cop. I mean, you might have a heart attack, Ann. It's part of the...
No, but also that's really quite shocking that the Attorney General would threaten criminal action about a long ago case. I mean, what year did that happen? That's at least 2 years ago.
It was 2. I think it was 2 years old, and it was at least a year old in 2016. Definitely.
Right. I think it was older than that. I think it was at least 2 years. In any event, wow. Talk about a fascistic government. I mean, they won't even let, Attorney General Sessions withhold federal Department of Justice funds from states that are openly defying federal law. Here if we suspect you've leaked, and it's kind of hard, at least in first blush, to prove these things. If we see a leak, we're suspecting it's you, and we're going to criminally prosecute you for something that happened 2 years ago. Wow! I mean, apparently they didn't think it was criminally prosecutable at the time, or they would have done something already.
Right? It was like Ferguson.
Threatening to take criminal action for something that she does not believe is criminal or certainly worth wasting resources.
What she had also done, and it gets dirtier and dirtier if you look at it. Before she made the threatening call to New York, apparently Loretta Lynch, the AG, she had replaced the team of investigators, the FBI team that had decided that there wasn't a federal crime or a state crime involved in the death of this guy on Staten Island who was selling the loose cigarettes. So she put in people who were going to indict these who were prepared to indict these innocent cops. If the real cops in New York City leaked out the fact that this pedophile had classified government information on his website, it really
no, but even if they were doing something wrong and deserved to be punished, to be threatening a criminal prosecution. And by extension, or what if she did think it was criminal, threatening or offering to not criminally prosecute someone, let's say she thought deserved to be criminally prosecuted, to be using the force of the government that way, threatening to prosecute or not prosecute for a crime based on something having nothing to do with that crime. Wow.
Yeah,
and how about if that's in the Inspector General's report, which is why, to get back to your president, this is why it was utterly idiotic. Yes, this is your cue to mention the name of my last book.
What is the name of your last book? It slips my mind now, Ann. I think it was called "In Trump We Trust," or was it called "In Loretta Lynch"? In Loretta Lynch We Trust.
Right.
To railroad some innocent cops to prison.
To get back to your president, remember a few weeks ago he's denouncing Sessions for not firing this Inspector General and just doing the investigation himself? The Inspector General is apparently an honorable man. He's the one who exposed Peter Strzok, and Trump already knew that. He's the one who exposed Lisa Page. He's the one who exposed the Russian dossier being used as the basis for these FISA warrants. I mean, he was Obama's Inspector General, but there are still some people who are honorable, not to be confused with the ones like Comey who just like going around telling you how honorable they are.
And blending in with the curtains.
There are some who are, especially lawyers, they take the law seriously, and this Inspector General, obviously his conclusions have much more value than if this had come from, the Sessions Department of Justice, but your idiot president wanted to fire him.
My idiot president? In Trump We Trust, the title of your last book, Ann. And now you're saying you knew he was a boob. I mean, what's going on?
I think we all knew that. We liked what he was saying.
Well, even Comey said he doesn't think he's stupid, that he knows what's going on. He just said he's morally unfit. You're saying he's intellectually unfit, Ann. Come on,
no,
I got to call you out on that.
Ignorance is different, and seeking the New York Times and Goldman Sachs' approval, and that all of that is a completely different character flaw.
Someone wants to know, Ann, since your father was in the FBI, did he ever try to blend in with the curtains anywhere?
No, he did not. But a big thing for J. Edgar Hoover was he really made a point. It's interesting. You look back at court cases and see who the FBI agents were. He made a point of trying to hire Catholics and Mormons because he thought they were so honest.
I know. I recall that. That's kind of humorous, I think, especially when you think about the Kennedys and Harry Reid, right?
I think the Kennedys are somewhat of an exception among the Irish.
Well, thank you for saying that, Ann. Sometimes I've gotten the feeling that, you thought of us as somewhat of a lesser breed sometimes. I'm glad to hear you that you're coming around on the fine Hibernian race.
I'm now defending them ferociously by saying, not at all like the Kennedys. That is an aberration.
And thank you. Thanks for being with us. And what you want to plug your book? What's your latest book?
Well, I think it's a great book, and in addition to Trump reading it, any politician could read it. I mean, we may have tryouts for the guy who's going to primary Trump in 2020.
It's going to be Kasich.
What Trump was saying, it is all in that book. I mean, it is all the virtues of Trump, and what was virtuous about him, what was stunning about him, what was unprecedented was his issues. He was finally saying the things Americans wanted to hear. Any politician could do it.
Someone says you should change the title to E Pluribus Awful the way you feel now. And then someone else says, Ann is a bigger Fairweather fan than sports fans from Connecticut, meaning they switch back and forth.
I think it's a fair-weather president who no longer supports his own positions.
All right.
I am the true Trumpster because I support the one who ran and won the election.
And you got a big write-up at this week in Bill Kristol's magazine.
I did not. Weekly
Standard.
They're probably not very happy that I don't want constant war, which is one of the reasons I voted for Trump.
You gotta start reading these magazines and these reports by the Inspector General. You got a nice write up in the Weekly Standard. Check it out, Ann Coulter. We got to take a break. Thanks for being with us. Talk to you.